this little introduction, prologue thing. No. All I want you to do is just cooperate with me, okay? Yeah, no, hey. Speak English. All I want you to do is just, assist me in this introduction to chapter 13 of Shackles Across Time. The book. I think you have you in it, so you don't. Okay, it's cool. Okay, it's cool. Okay. God willing, and the creek don't rise. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm consciously starting off knowing that you have the camera on. You can't fool me.
Anymore, huh?
This is one of those times when I was aware, so I'm going to sip a little water here.
All right.
And I have this feeling that he calmed Alfred down, and maybe James too. If you start off with a little music, because they're both music lovers. Man, I look at this calendar that James gave us about the Monterey Festival. That's a music lover.
Yeah.
We got it framed in there, James. Got it framed.
Okay. You're being by being nice. Decided to.
Okay, you decided to take over. Is that what you decided to do?
Yes,
All right, you got to get the. Here, look, let me put you together with your friend here, and y'all can work this stuff out because it's getting to be too much for me. And what's your role in the thing? Okay, got you.
And everybody go there.
And Stick, you doing new tricks. Love you.
You can put it up there.
All righty.
Yes, indeed.
Well, we start off with a little trickery here.
Well, you know how it is if you haven't played your instrument in a while.
Yeah, isn't it something? I need to get together with my friends. Yves Marchand.
Yeah.
Jamie Brown.
Cedric.
Preto Viejo. Viejo Preto.
Cedric Adams.
Preto Negro. The old black. Dennis Newsom, alias Dennis Newsom. And of course, the inimitable Cedric Adams.
Of course.
We don't know where Enrique is, our teacher.
Ah, Enrique.
Blessings upon you, my brother.
Amen. Ashe.
And all the rest of the caporistas who are out there somewhere, up in Oakland. Did I mention Timber Machama?
No, or Marias.
Master Marias.
Yes, there you go.
Master Turo and Master Bimba and
Michelle.
Master Elegante.
Michelle.
And Master, well, Michelle is not a
Master.
master,
Oh,
but Michelle Moran, Michelle Roman, who is has been dedicated capoeirista. Get out of the woods, girl. You get burned up there. You know how it is. Did I miss anybody? Well, I missed a whole lot of people. Anyway, we're on to chapter 13 of the book
Shackles Across Time. There we go. Very nice. And please.
Okay. Chester has been going through different kinds of changes. And in the last chapter, the Quartey Family Reunion group has asked him to be an Okyeame, to be a go-between, to maybe they can obliterate the curse that has been put on their family tree centuries ago by Odie's grandfather. My grandfather Odie has been put on the family line because of the injustice of the treatment that the grandson was given.
Right.
So I'm using like a camera technique to cut from one thing to another and then finally bring the whole thing back together. Chester was completely taken in by the charm. This is to balance off. In the previous chapter, he was at a television review by people with a lot of stereotype notions and a whole lot of weird ideas about a black writer. They sometimes assume that all of us are just simply writing, especially if you're a novelist, not a poet. Well, a poet too. They simply assume that we're all just writing a protest novel. It's all a protest novel. And he had to fight that. In this chapter, it's not quite so bad. Chester was completely taken in by the charm and intelligence of the couple hosting Chicago Currents event. A Korean woman named Choi and a white guy named Bolton. Bolton. Where did I get that from? Bolton and Choi, both obviously familiar with African American history and the literary tradition within that culture. They mentioned a few names that he wasn't familiar with. It wasn't Murky Depths or the controversial Mr. Simmons or even the Harlem Renaissance. Their questions were about Ori and pertinent sidebars. Ms. Choi was the sharp of the duo. I'll be very happy to see a Korean version of Ori. I think we all need to focus on different facets of our roots. Without a doubt, Chester deadpanned. Mr. Simmons, has your book been well received in the African American community? Very well received, I'm pleased to say. And the white community? It's hard to say. Many white people conceal their interest in predominantly black cultural areas. The telephone call-ins were a bit wiggy, but Miss Choi was there with the proper knife. So sorry, sir. Wrong show. You want the Mark Epstein show. That's 2 doors down the hall. It's labeled Garbage Room. Sister called. Bolton was equally decisive with the Ramblers, who were more interested in making statements than asking questions. Hey, look at it, fella. You've been going on and on about absolutely nothing. Don't you think it's time you discover the rare art of asking a question so that you might learn something? Thanks for calling. They were hip, kept him smiling. Then at the conclusion of the half hour, he felt cheated. Bolton shook his hand warmly and wished him happy sales. That's the name of the game. Mrs. Choi shook his hand warmly and stood up on her tippity toes to give him a juicy little peck on the cheek. Come back and see us again soon. I'll do my best. She whipped off her next appointment, full of piss and vinegar, leaving Chester and his PR man to stare at her full hips and sexy walk. She's a real looker, huh? Alan, real looker doesn't even come close to describing what we're looking at. What's next? Well, we have these old ladies over on the north side who used to read a lot of Langston Hughes, and a Boy Scout troop on the south side, followed by, let's do the old ladies and the scouts and call it a day. I have a lot of stuff on my mind. I have to make a big decision before we hook back into our tour this evening. Chester, you okay? Better than ever, pal. I just got something to do with the family this afternoon. Okay, no problem. The old ladies on the north side consisted of a stunning collection of black, white, brown, and yellow women. They were 40-ish, successful, secure, had been everywhere and done everything. They spent 45 minutes discussing one of the sexier chapters in Odie. And would you be so kind as to tell us what goes through a male writer, no pun intended, of course, when he really sticks his pen into the middle of something erotic? Oh, it's a turn-on for sure. Really? You better believe it. But I'm sure you ladies must know that instinctively. It can cause, if it can cause a few goose pimples to raise up on you, you can just imagine what it does to us. Alan Rich had to actually pull him away from the group when it was time to go meet the scouts. Alan, what a cruel man you are. I'm really sorry, Chester, I really am. But it was kind of reaching the bubbling point in that, wasn't it? You can say that again. He fingered the expensively printed cards with the home phone number scribbled on the back. He had been advised by one willowy, dark-skinned lady, fax me. Anytime. I said, fax me. From a room full of sexy sisters to an auditorium filled with boys who looked and smelled as though they had just washed their faces 5 minutes ago. The head of the organization introduced Chester L. Simmons. He's a serious writer, one of the most important figures of our culture. Don't monkey around while he's talking. Listen. The Mark Epstein show and the other goofy experiences on the road were being eclipsed by the good vibes of the day. He started out by confessing, once upon a time, I, too, was a good scout. They hadn't read or read, but they knew a good storyteller when they heard one, and their rapt attention was all that was needed to make him spiel. For an hour, he took them around the corners of his writing life, into and out of hairy basements, up into the clouds of holy creativity. He provoked them with romantic sighing and startled them into contagious laughter. He pulled the good life up for them to look at and closed the curtains on the bad life. Drugs that are used to just get high are bad for you, physically and spiritually. The doctor is the only one who should prescribe drugs for you. The guy selling drugs from the car or on the street corner is not a doctor, a pharmacist, or anybody. He means you well. He didn't make the scout bureaucrats squirm or cause any of the members to feel bad. And when he finished with them, they gave him a standing ovation. Wow, Chester, I didn't know you had it in you. Listen to those kids. Let's face it, Alan. There's a bit of the boy in all of us, whether we like it or not.
Well said.
They rode through the humid streets of the city feeling good about the day. You know something, Chester, I just gotta tell you this. You are a fucking PR man's dream. You know that? Alan's sounds like you're blowing a bit of smoke up my butt. No. Nothing like that, Chester. I'm just contrasting you with the last guy I toured with. God, what an asshole he was. Chester held his hands over his ears and mocked horror. Oh, please, I don't want to hear it. No negatives today, please. Alan laughed all the way to the curved driveway in front of the Hyde Parker. Oh, Chester, don't forget, we're on the 10:30 p.m. to Atlanta. I don't know about that. We may not be. Check with me in a couple hours. It's 2 o'clock now. Say 4:30? 4:30 it is. Well, if you won't have any need for me, I think I'll trip over to the lakefront for a bit. Do that, Alan. Do that. The sun will do you good. The inadvertent pun caused both of them to smile. Yeah, guess you got a point there. He picked up his messages from the desk and took the elevator to his floor. He sprawled on the bed and glanced through his messages. Chester, we need to talk about what we're going to do. Sylvia Banks. Sylvia Banks. Oh, yeah. The would-be mother of my phantom child. He smiled to himself. Maybe I should have left the condom off after all. He stared at the ceiling thinking, who was it that said, nothing like fame to strangle creativity? Was it Alex Haley after Roots? Damn, I haven't scribbled 2 pages since this PR thing started. No time to sit and zero in on anything. It's all go. A half hour later, he was awakened from a light nod by the phone buzzing. Yeah? Sorry to wake you, Chester. We know you've been busy. Bob, how's it going? What's happening? We were waiting for you to tell us. Oh, sorry about that. Let's get together in a half hour in the little room we were in yesterday. I'll pass the word. They're waiting. Chester rolled off the bed to undress and shower. He had not clearly decided what he was going to do. He made an instant decision to allow his intuitive side to take over. He was surprised to see the young ones in the room. Mary Quist Johnson eased up to him and whispered quickly, they won the argument. Their point was that it's about them. It involves them even more than it involves us. So why should they be excluded? Funky shit, huh? The academician was clearly delighted by his reaction to her vulgarity. Oh, yes, I guess one could say that. Robert Quinn, the tape charge guy, made a dominating appeal for quiet. Thanks, Chester. It's your show. He felt nervous for the first time since the PR tours began. I'll give you the shorthand version. I accept the challenge you've offered me. There, it was out. They seemed to release a collective sigh of relief. Chester took note of an angry fire in Bella's eyes. Why? However, I would like to make certain stipulations. Yes? Number one, I'm going to ask you to withdraw your financial offer. I'll need plane fares and living expenses. That's it. Hey, that ain't no problem at all. Okay, second thing, no publicity. I don't think our project will be given the sort of intelligent consideration we'd like for it to have. I can't see anything but tabloid stuff coming up. Curse blacks, paying writer to investigate voodoo curse. Oh my God! Oh yeah, you can count on it. So keeping that scenario in mind, let's keep this whole matter in the family. We all agree on that? A chorus of enthusiastic yeses greeted his request. I promise you I'll give this thing my best shot. Fuck you! Fuck all of you, bastard! You're not gonna sell me to anybody! The people in the room turned a collective, startled focus on Bella Quinn as she backed up against the far wall, preparing to fight for her life. Chester watched her brothers make sly movements toward her as Mrs. Quinn approached her from the front. No, sweetheart, you're wrong. Darling, no one is going to sell you. No one is talking about selling you. Chester saw tears slide down Robert Quinn's cheeks. He was not the tape charge guy at the moment. You can't fool me! You can't fool me! You think I don't know when someone is planning to kill me? What the fuck you think? I am a crazy person or something? She made a sudden movement for the window and was tackled around the ankles by her brother Kwame. Her brother Kofi wrapped his arms around her arm from the rear to keep her from fighting them. The Quins, as a team, went into action. While Dinah tried to calm her daughter, Robert raced to his room for the sedative they were forced to use when she refused to take her medication and lost control of herself. It was all done in minutes under the sympathetic eyes of all the people in the room. Robert Quinn emptied the syringe with the sedative, and seconds later, the ugly expression on Bella Quinn's face relaxed as she nodded into a peaceful sleep. Her brothers carried her away to her room. Well, now, where were we? Someone spoke out, obviously trying to alleviate the heavy drama. Jessie Quarles stared at the sleeping girl's exit. God, what a terrible sickness to have, demons and all. I think we've come to the conclusion of what we're going to do. Justice in your hands now. Well, as you all know, was in the middle of a PR number for my book, and it's going well. I think it's going well, so I can forget about it. Of course, I'll have to inform my publisher what's happening, but I don't foresee any real problems. Robert Quinn spoke between clenched teeth, trying to maintain his cool. Chester, anything you do would be a great help. Anything. Let's get back together for dinner and we can begin to plot our course of action. Bella going to be okay? Dinah Quinn smiled sadly. As okay as she'll ever be. Chester returns to his room, once again sprawled across his bed, thought, God of our ancestors, help me, please. It was 4:30 and the knock on the door could only belong to Alan Rich. Come in, Alan, it's open. Alan peeked around the corner of the door as though he was a spy. Look at this, a man of leisure. Well, we got plenty of time. It's not like those international flights where you have to check in 4 hours ahead to give everyone a chance to check their Uzis and explosives. Alan, I'm breaking off the tour. I want you to get me a visitor's visa to Ghana, plane ticket round trip for the weekend. What? I don't understand. What did I do? I mean, no, pal. This ain't about you, what you didn't do or anything like that. It's about something I have to do, and I have to do it like yesterday already. I understand. I'll get on it. I think they're going to be a bit pissed at the office about this. Mr. Murray, he won't be pissed. They didn't really they didn't want to give me a PR tour anyway. Oh, did you know that? Of course. I could hear the arguments against the PR tour for Ori in my sleep. Let's get on the tickets and visa, okay? Yeah, sure thing. You think I should come along with you? Chester studied Alan Rich's eager expression. This must be the only good white boy I've ever met. No, not this time, Alan. Not this time. Chapter 14. Yes, we're there already. Maybe the beer and power helped.
Yes.
He stared at the fleecy clouds as the British Airways jet droned across the Atlantic. Modern life is too fast for human beings. We weren't psychologically designed to be here today, there tomorrow. Would you care for a cocktail, sir? Yes, thank you. Making scotch on the rocks. Yeah, that's the way to do it, folks. Keep us buzzed, well-fed, entertained, and sappy. And we'll forget that we've been sitting up in the air for years. Here you are, sir. Thank you. He sipped his scotch and settled back to stare at the clouds, thinking of what he had to do. It was definitely a welcome change from the book promotion tour. He is looking at you, Alan Rich. He had spent hours carefully considering his reasons for taking on the Okyeame role, the mediator's role. The final conclusion was simple. I find this extremely interesting, and I want to have a stake in it. And yes, of course, he knew, and the Quartey descendants knew, that a book would come out of it. We left in chains, and now we're returning in jets, sipping good scotch with Sky Be the Limit credit cards. Chester smiled to himself. Yeah, we must be some of the baddest motherfuckers on the planet. A few hours to change plans in London, a half-hour stopover in Kano, Nigeria, and now they were circling Accra, Ghana. What was I here last? A couple of years ago. Wonder what's changed. The sultry heat of the rainy season, July in Ghana, hit him as he staggered down the metal steps of the runway. Well, the heat hasn't changed. And the chaos created by the disembarking passengers that they herded into the bus terminal atmosphere of the airport. Chester slid from line to line smoothly, an old head at spotting openings and weak spots. He spotted an old friend at the final checkpoint. Ah, Mr. Chester, you're back in Ghana here, Akwaaba. Ah, yes, sir, Captain Ibrahim, back again. Please, sir, pass this way. 8 p.m. Friday night, a good time to arrive. The hustlers jammed around him for a few minutes till they caught that seasoned look in his eyes, which meant, I've been here, done this before. He bargained for a taxi and was suddenly freed of the noise, scuffling, and chaos of the airport. I want to charter your taxi for the next 2 hours. The driver nodded acceptance and settled into driving. There was no need to try to overcharge this one. If he knew enough to charter, Accra. Where would you like to go, sir? I want to check into the Denver Hotel first, and from there to Irene Street in Osu, and maybe to Mojo's Chop Bar, Labadi, for some fufu. Well, let's see what happens. Once again, the driver nodded. This man knows Accra. Just as soaked in the sights as they bumped along the cratered roads. Ghana was his favorite African country. The people resembled his relatives from Mississippi, and everything seemed possible if you have enough money to make it happen. He hated the corruption, but contrarily supported it at every turn because it was the surest way to get things done quickly. If you wanted to have an appointment, if you wanted to have an important document signed by an official, it might take weeks unless the proper dash was given. If you wanted to have a service done efficiently, a dash was a prerequisite. Dash, dash, dash. It was almost a custom. We are here, sir. Chester was shaken from his mental sightseeing. The Denver Hotel, memories. The cold-colored girl with the blackberry-flavored nipples. The drug dealers on the first floor. The music that started each day and ended each evening. Many, many bottles of deliciously chilled ABC lager. The driver hauled his luggage into the lobby, waking the old man behind the desk. The old man stared at Chester's face with rheumy eyes that attempted to light up when he recognized his guest. Mr. Chester! Aha! Mr. Chester, you are back in Ghana here. You are now here. You are welcome. Yes, Mr. Obabio, I'm back and I'll be your guest for a few days. Would it be possible for me to have my old room back? Mr. Obabio ran a bony finger up and down a list of numbers and paused when Chester slipped him 10,000 cedis, $1 in. Oh, your room has been waiting for you. Very good. See to it that my luggage is collected and deposited in my room. He felt no jet lag, no sleepiness. It may creep up on me, but now is the time to check out these mean streets. Driver, what's your name? I'm called Amos. Amos, huh? Okay, Amos. Let's run around a little bit. First, let's shoot over to the circle. Shoot? Let's drive to the Nkrumah circle. I need a little substance in me to line the walls for the rough days ahead. I understand, sir. We will go there. Your driver becomes your confidant. Hi, Kofi. Hi, Kofi, wherever you are.
Yes.
I know you somewhere. In Nkrumah Circle, off to the right, where the women sold every imaginable kind of meat a human being could possibly want to eat, most of it fried to a nut brown crisp. Chester had a fatalistic attitude about being in undeveloped countries. There's so much shit that can kill you, it makes no sense to worry about it.
Okay.
He picked up a couple of pieces of smoked fish and asked the driver Amos to bargain for it. He stood off one side and watched the process. She said, $2,500 for 2 pieces. I say less. Yeah, okay, let's get it. Chester slipped him the correct number of CDs and peripherally noticed the driver as he paid the vendor $1,500 and pocketed the rest. Oh well, what the hell do you expect? He savored the first few pieces of the smoked fish, wishing they had some fancy kinky, the slightly sourish tea leaf tasting kinky. Amos the driver watched him eat with a delighted expression on his face. "Sir, you are enjoying your chop, yes?" "Yeah, man, it's good. You want to taste?" Oh, no, thanks, sir. A little fish and kink in the belly, time for a cold brew. Amos, drop me off. I'll come down at Afrikiko. You know it? Oh, the Afrikiko. I know it, sir. I will go there. 9:15 p.m. Yeah, just about the right time to check out the scene on Friday night. Chester felt good in Accra, in Ghana. Things were so accessible, so immediate, so humane, and the pace of life was slow. People were out there hustling, but the shotgun frenzy of Chicago, New York, and Los Angeles was missing. He didn't have the uneasy feeling of knowing someone would be shot or sliced up before the evening was over, and certainly no drive-by serial killings. The Afrikiko, sir. He paid the price for an hour and a half charter and dashed the driver generously, causing the man to giggle. They're like, oh, very good, sir. Would you like for me to collect you later, sir? Yeah, I don't tell him when I'll be leaving this joint. Catch you another time, Amos. Good evening, sir. They waved cordially to each other. Amos off to new fair adventures. Chester one of his treasured old stomping ground. The Afrikiko was where European men in Accra used to come to pick up Ghanaian prostitutes, and many who were not from Ghana. African men came for the prostitutes too, but it was the European men who stood out. Chester made a slow approach to the scene up a gravel path, a kind of hunting ground with Christmas tree lights strung above the gravel path and the tables and chairs that bordered the path. The oversized jukebox was booming out a bastardized piece of African music, accompanying the metallic laughter of the ladies. It was all done quite simply. A man or men took a table visually suggestive to a woman or women that they were joined to discuss possibilities and prices. The women were quite ladylike with their business. The men were the ones who usually created a problem. After 6 beers too many one evening. After 6 beers too many one evening, a fat German businessman slapped one of the ladies and was immediately attacked by all of her girlfriends. The businessman was escorted out of the establishment, limping and bleeding. Whores knew exactly where to kick a man. The Afrikiko was cool, and the Ghanaian prostitute was very different from her stateside sister. This prostitution was for fufu, not drugs, for family, not the local pimp. How long had she been standing there with her left leg flexed in the classic hoe stance? Gorgeous chocolate-colored woman with Native American cheekbones and Ghanaian hips. Please, sir, may I sit with you? Please, be my guest. He drank her in. A beautiful woman, no better way to spend an hour. She fixed him in her eyes and stared back. No words exchanged for a long, hot moment. My name is Patience. What is your name? Ghana kept him on the verge of laughing. Why in the hell would people in the middle of the rainforest on the west coast of Africa deliberately saddle themselves with names like Amos, Cyril, Philip, Byron, Mercy, Grace, Veronica, Patience. My name is Chester Lewis Simmons, and I'm only here to drink a little beer, nothing more. You're not interested in a girl, sir? To be honest, Patience, to be honest, I'm always interested in a girl, but it's against my personal religion to pay money to be with a girl. She seemed to relax as she settled back in her chair and crossed her legs. I understand. Some men are this way. Will you buy me a drink? Whatever you like. The waiter swarmed through clumps of people to bring him an ABC and her again a stop. Well, Patience, so how is it? Chester enjoyed working and talking to working girls in general, and the ladies at Afakiko especially. There was something about the way they looked at the world that intrigued him. The frame of reference that they used for life had been clearly explained to him by a San Francisco pro one night in Golden Gate Park. Well, you skinned the motherfucker's dick back and sucked cum from his nuts. Ain't too much else left to be explained. Maybe that's what head was all about. Patience sucked delicately on her beer bottle. How is it? Oh, I'm doing well, I think. I can take a little time to talk to an interesting man. You made your money for the evening? She knew she had a minimum to meet. They all did. I make my money every evening. A trio of European men walking in steps strolled past their table and winked at him. He ignored the attempt at macho friendliness. You say you're taking a little time to talk to an interesting man. How do you know I'm interested? Because of the way you look and because of the way you talk. Uninteresting men always tell me that they are interesting. Interesting men ask me what is interesting. Huh? Are you getting me? Yeah. Are you sure about this? She didn't answer. She simply nodded and took another sip of her Guinness. Patience, tell me, what do you do when you're not here? When I'm not doing this? Yeah, when you're not doing this. I'm at the university. The thought came to him immediately. The girl is brilliant. She needs a scholarship. And you're not able to pay your fees any other way. This is the easiest way. Please excuse me. The man over there wants me. I will see you again sometime. Yeah, I hope. The empty seat at his table became a magnet. The other women who had been paying surreptitious attention to their conversation assumed that their negotiations had broken down. They tried to create terms for themselves. They came to him in rapid order. Victoria, Comfort, Aisha, Rose, Emilia. Aisha almost pulled him in. She wasn't the finest lady on the premises, but she made him understand that she could be the most lascivious. Please, sir, look closely at my mouth, my eyes, my breasts, my hips. Look at me and you see sex. I am the best sex here. You understand, sir? I am the best. She was a fallen Muslim woman from Mali with Berber blood, and the 3 beers he bought her had put her into a hard sell mode. Aisha, you don't understand, baby. I'm not here for sex. I just came here to check things out. I do not understand this. Please check things out. I have the best sex. The best. I am the best. He bought her another beer and slipped away, pretending to go to the men's room. When you are there, she whispered in his ear, when you are there, pee-pee, think of Aisha, okay? Yeah, the after kicker was still happening, no doubt about it. Music, of course, started the day in the Denver hotel. It was part of the atmosphere of the place. He found that they played tapes on the hotel sound system, and the tapes were supplied by the people who went through the hotel. If you wanted your music, you supplied the tape. Over a short span of time, he had heard everything from Muddy Waters to Album Berg. He sprawled in the hardback bed, stared at the slow-moving fan in the ceiling, and began to put his day together. He felt like a man on a mission. There was no Alan Rich there to smooth the way. No fantastically efficient telephone service here. It was all done from scratch. He rolled slowly out of bed to take a shower. Under the sun-heated water, he reviewed his game plan. Hook up with the Bookman family members in Okyeame. It might be very difficult or incredibly easy, depending on elements and factors he couldn't even imagine. He knew the scene and how it operated. There were times when it's easier to place a direct call to the president or contact the head of any ministry in the country than it was to find out the simplest piece of information. Psychologically, he was prepared to go with the flow. There was no way to push it in Ghana. You had to wait for the flow to happen. He dressed conservatively. A white short-sleeved shirt, a pair of peach-colored pants, and a pair of beige leather sandals. Mr. Obabio was still sleeping behind the desk when he placed his keys in the number box. This old bird must live behind the desk. 1:30 in the afternoon. The African sun hit his face like a small blowtorch as he stepped away from the shaded portion of the Denver hotel veranda. The sun seemed hotter than he'd ever remembered. Was the ozone layer completely breached, or was it his imagination? He signaled for a taxi that looked capable of driving all around the city. Many of them were simply junk cans on wheels, hung together with spit and rubber bands. And bargained the driver into a charter deal. I need your taxi. I need your taxi for 4 hours at $10,000 per hour. Yes, please. The place to start was with the Bookmans in Labone. Osu, Nima, Kanda, Adabraka, Labone, Accra and its sectors. Labone was an upscale sector, no doubt about it, but there were other sectors. Tesano, Nungwa, Tema, and in between those sectors were other sectors. Chester gave the driver the address of the place he wanted to go to in Labone. Oh, this is in 3rd and Norlite Lane near the Busy Bee Learning Center. Busy Bee Learning Center. Yes, please. It's a Montessori school. Oh, I see. Our crowd was filled with unexpected surprises. A Montessori school. The Bookman home was not difficult to find. It was an imposing estate surrounded by broad lawns, trees, and efficient servants. He was met at the gold-plated gate by one of them. My name is Chester Simmons, and I'm here to see Mr. Charles Bookman. Chester spoke as authoritatively as possible because he knew from prior experience that the authoritative approach worked wonders in Ghana. Maybe it's part of the English legacy. But no, someone assured him it's always been that way with us, even before the English came. The man at the gate took a humble step away from him and dashed away, calling to him as he moved away, "I'm coming." Mimba! 10 minutes later, another man came to the gate, led by the gatekeeper. Chester took note of the two classes of people in front of him. One was obviously a field nigger, and the other a house nigger, with all due respect. Your name, sir? I'm Chester L. Simmons. I've come to see Mr. Charles Bookman. Chester boomed out. Oh, I should tell him that you are here. Thank you, my good man. He knew that the Ghanaians loved the English of the English, not American English or Jamaican English, but British English. 10 minutes later, he was being ushered into a large fan-cool room to meet the first member of the family who had condemned a whole bunch of people to inevitable problems. The house servant patted him with a quart bottle of Beefeater labeled gin filled with cold water, poured him a generous glass, and shuffled out. Chester drank the water. Very nice custom. People offer you water. You can see little things floating in it sometimes, but it's polite to drink the water.
Uh-huh.
I drank some water one day that I almost chewed.
Okie dokie.
I think it was little frogs in there, something.
Okay.
Nothing in the world better than a cold glass of water on a hot day. Not beer, not gin, nothing. He drank a second glass, set the glass back on the tray, and casually studied his surroundings, clearly aware that he was being studied. He had the feeling he was being watched as he glanced around at the half-Danish, half-African furnished room. Exactly 10 minutes later, a short, very dark, well-fed man dressed in a snow-white caftan shuffled in from another section of the house. Chester mentally described him as aristocratic as she shuffled toward Chester with his hand stretched out and the essence of a smile on his face. "You're welcome," he announced as he shook Chester's hand, leaving out the middle finger snap that Ghanaians are so fond of. Thank you very much." Charles Bookman sat in a velvet-covered chair opposite Chester and crossed his legs regally. "Frightfully hot day, isn't it?" "Part of the course, I guess." "Rather." Bookman could have been a black Englishman. That's the profile Chester placed on him after a couple of choppy sentences. "Oh, I say, would you prefer something other than water?" Without waiting for an answer, he called for his houseboy. "Yow! Yow!" The man was there within seconds, standing at attention, British Army style, waiting for instruction. "Whiskey, brandy, gin and tonic?" Gin and tonic sounds about right. Charles Bookman gave clear-cut instructions to the servant in liquid gua. Chester listened closely to the sounds of the language. He loved the lilting quality of it and the economy of how a few words said a great deal. The servant padded out for the drinks. Charles Bookman turned back to Chester with a sly smile. "So, Mr. Simmons, how are things in America?" Chester matched his sly smile with one of his own. He had given up on trying to explain to Africans that African Americans were not Americans. A couple of days ago when I departed, my slice of America was doing as well as could be expected under the circumstances. What's happening in Ghana here? Bookman made an eloquent gesture that said nothing. "Oh, you know how it is with us. One holds on somehow."
Yeah, right. Holding on, are you?
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Chester glanced around the richly furnished room. Yeah, right. Holding on, pretty. The servant eased back into the room with a tall frosted glasses of gin and tonic on a silver tray. He offered one to Chester and one to the master of the house. Bookman took his drink and dismissed the servant with a negligent nod. The two men sipped their drinks. Do a lot of drinking and got up.
Yeah, it's hot.
Not bad, eh? Not bad at all. They sat easily, not saying anything for a few brief moments. "Now then, Mr. Simmons, what can I do for you?" Chester basted his lips with another long sip of his gin and tonic and eased into a spiel. He made it as exact and factual sounding as the request for an order of dry goods. Charles Bookman took a long pull on his drink. He felt the need to spool the spiel around in his head for a moment. "Frankly, Mr. Simmons, I find it quite difficult to believe that any group of sensible people could accept the premise of such a notion, really." "Mr. Booker, please believe me. It's more than a notion. Mr. Robert Quinn of Quinn Products Incorporated has had an extensive computer survey done of this matter, and the data is conclusive." "They've used a computer, you say, to validate their suspicions?" Yes, sir, they have used the computer. Chester sensed that he had found the proper spot when he said computer. Computer meant modern technology, European ways of finding information. It was obvious that Charles Bookman was impressed. Chester sipped his drink. Mr. Simmons, I must tell you this. Since I was a boy growing up in our ancestral village, I have heard rumors of this curse you speak of. I can't say that I've ever considered it seriously. One hears all sorts of foolishness in Ghana here, what with the superstitions and all. Chester nodded neutrally. No need to disagree with this pseudo-Englishman about anything yet. In any case, I must tell you, you've come to the wrong person to have this matter resolved. Chester thought he saw a gleam pop into Charles Bookman's eyes as his chin dropped with disappointment. You must go to the town of Latte. Yes, you must go to the town of Latte to see the patriarch of my mother's side of the family. He may be able to help you. Chester brightened a bit. I will offer you my driver if you can wait until tomorrow to make your visit. That's very generous of you, Mr. Bookman, very generous indeed. I think it's the very least I can do to aid in the resolution of this unfortunate matter. Bookman stood, indicating that the visit was over. Chester shook his hand, genuinely grateful for the help he was offered. I thank you for your assistance, sir. Bookman, the aristocrat, shrugged. It's nothing at all. If you give it...
Wait till I come to America. Tit for tat, okay.
Yeah, you got that. Mm-hmm. If you give my man the name of your lodgings and the time you'd like to have him collect you. They shook hands and strolled out. He had a beginning now, and with traditional Ghanaian hospitality opening doors, he might have a handle on the ending. The driver had instructions to collect him at 7 a.m. It would be cool at that time. 3 in the afternoon, dinner at the country kitchen.
Mm-hmm,
We always wind up at the country kitchen.
Of course. Great meal.
The country kitchen, this huge open-sided restaurant with the thatched roof personified a number of things he called Ghana's traits. The food was always good and sometimes excellent. If you ordered Ghanaian chop, fufu and light soup, banku and okra stew, bush meat.
Ah.
The problem had to do with the service. It might be very fast or very slow.
Yes, yes.
He loved to linger over a beer and people study. The old school Thai boys who came to work out the details of the latest deals. The civil service types who felt a need to be seen in the right place. The politicians who came to play the room. The upper crust parading their well-fed families. The young lovers sharing bowls of fufu and goat meat. The old goats who slipped in and out with their secretaries or their sweet young things. The Europeans who used their hardship pay to buy lobster dinner. The up and coming. The waitress returned to his table after 20 minutes to inform him, "Sorry, sir, the lobster is finished." "The lobster is finished?" "Yes, sir, it is finished." A Ghana trait. It had taken her 20 minutes to return to his table to tell him that there were no more lobsters. Why? "Well, now let me see. Do you have chicken?" "Yes, please." He was feeling a bit tipsy and extremely mellow, in no hurry to do anything. He had given a quick thought to paying a few old friends a visit, but immediately canceled out the idea. Visiting old friends would lock him into social things. He didn't want that. He wanted to stay focused and take care of the business he came for. He glanced at the couple to his left. How can a woman with gold and diamonds on her fingers fish around in a bowl of stew and still look elegant? But there she was, proof of elegance. The urge to write was creeping up on him. He could tell from the way his mind was beginning to put stories together about the people in the restaurant. Yeah, I did the right thing. Maybe it wasn't the smartest thing to do, to jump off the PR wagon and onto this thing, but it was the right thing. Wonder what old Alan is doing tonight, and the members of the Quartey Consortium. That's what we figured out we ought to be, a consortium. We'll be putting our heads and our money together on different projects. We might all be multi-millionaires by the time you get back. Hey, more power to you, black folks. That's what we all ought to do, put our heads and money together. Your dinner is served, sir. Thank you. Now, what I used to eat this with? My bare hands. Ghana trade showing. Miss, could I have a knife and fork, please? Yes, please, I'm coming. He loved the philosophical conundrum those words framed. Ghana trade. The person at the post office who was taking a long time to determine the proper postage for a package would say, I'm coming. The man in the immigration office who couldn't find the proper stamp for your passport would say, I'm coming. And hundreds of other situations that resolved and diffused to, I'm coming. He ate his food slowly, enjoying the taste and the atmosphere of the kitchen. He was pleased with the pace of life around him. People moved, but there was no sense of rush. Yeah, I made the right decision. He sat for a while after eating, considering options. It was too early to go back to the hotel. A movie, the perfect dessert. 6 o'clock, another hour before movie time. Can I get you something else, sir? No, thank you, sweetheart. What's playing at Ghana Films tonight? The waitress, obviously a Ghana Films fan, glowed with pleasure as she answered this question. Oh, a very good film, sir. It is called The Village Girl. I saw it last evening with my boyfriend. It is the story of this girl, Amma, who... no, thank you. I'll go see what it's about myself. Oh, sorry, sir. No problem. Good evening. Good evening, sir. Her pleasant glow went to a higher wattage as she collected her 15,000 CD tip. That always tricked me when people say 1,000, 15,000 CD tip. Chester strolled down the hill, dodging cars that seemed to ignore his existence. Another Ghana trait. The most polite people in the world. Strangers said, good afternoon. People accidentally bumping into you on the street would mumble profuse apologies, but those same people in an automobile would run you over without any hesitation. He attributed this schizoidness to the English legacy, to the way arrogant Englishmen used to ride through the streets, forcing the Africans out of the way. He came to Irene Street, the main drag in Osu, and started walking aimlessly down the street. Here in Osu, he wasn't just the old Simmons famous writer, he was a tourist. The street was bustling. Women with babies on their backs and loads of all kinds on their heads, colors everywhere, people selling everything anyone wanted to buy. Hey, I have something for you, hey! The main street reminded him of Gwinnett Street in Augusta, Georgia. Excuse me, sir, would you like to buy a Rolex watch? Chester recognized the young man. He was inches taller and pounds heavier, but his skin was still beige and his hair was still light brown and curly. So, Mohammed, how is it? The young migrant hustler from Morocco stared at him and blinked. Well, I be damned. Son of a bitch, it is you, Chester. It's me. And you're still out here peddling these phony-ass watches. Mohammed grabbed him and squeezed him affectionately. Oh, my friend Chester, it is so good to see you some more. You are back in Ghana here? For a little while. Thought you were going back to Morocco. Mohammed made a theatrically sad face. Yes, I was going back, but now I have a Ghana wife, 2 babies. That's great, Mohammed. Are you happy? again, the super sad face. This guy would be a hell of an actor. The wife is good, but the babies eat all the time. All the time they eat, 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 eat.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they call them crumb crushers. Crumb crushers.
Mm-hmm.
Crumb crushers, pal. Crumb crushers, because they crush a lot of crumb. Ah, yeah. Crumb crusher. I understand. Teach me some more slang, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Some other time, Muhammad. Right now I have an appointment. Where are you leaving here? I'm staying with some people. Okay, if you need anything, you know me, where I am. Muhammad, okie dokie? I'll catch you later. Okay, Chester, later on, Daddy. They wave. I don't have to explain, Muhammad, you know Muhammad.
Mm-hmm.
They wave to each other going their separate ways. Young, slick-ass Muhammad. He ought to be rich by now doing all the stuff he does. Chester turns to look at the young Moroccan again. He acts exactly like 1,000 young brothers I've seen in the States. The only difference between them and him is they're shucking and jiving, and he's serious. They ought to take a trip over here and try some of the bullshit they put over there. They wouldn't last 24 hours. Yeah, Muhammad, Mais. Muhammad had stopped him on the street one humid afternoon and put a game on it that was so real, so hip, he gave him 10,000 cedis just for having such a vivid imagination. And from that point on, he had trouble getting rid of him. Chester, my friend, I will take your clothes for the washing. Chester, I know where the exchange for the dollar is more better. Chester, I beg you to, how to say this word? Chester, I'm asking you to do advertising the English. Chester, take Muhammad back to American with you. Chester. 6:45 p.m., time for the village girl. An hour and 15 minutes later, he stumbled out of the theater with the rest of the Saturday night moviegoers, alternately shaking his head at the technical lousiness of the movie and smiling at the memory of the beautiful story. The village girl was a story of 1,000 village girls, maybe 10,000 village girls, who had left their villages to seek their fortunes in the big city. Amma, the village girl in the film, had managed to find her way back to her village despite running a gauntlet of vicious-minded men, piss-poor lighting, a horrible soundtrack, lousy makeup, wayward direction, bad dialogue, and a leading man who didn't know zip about acting. Amma, the girl woman, had played the lead, was so full of beauty and tenderness that she overcame all of the technical deficiencies. When she went to the beach to cleanse herself after a date rape, she made it a ritual that anyone could relate to. After she had the money she had been saving for months stolen from her by her best friend, the anguish on her face and her gestures was enough to make the most cynical feel pain. Beautiful actress. You can't teach or learn some things in school, only in life. And that's where we are ending chapter 14.
13 and 14. Why, thank you, Odie Hawkins. That's me. Shackles Across Time.
Chapters Across Time, right here.
Right. Chapters 13 and 14. The book can be purchased at Author House, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, your local bookstore. Yes, indeed, your local bookstore. Call or go by and tell them, I want a book by Odie Hawkins. It's called Shackles Across Time. Your website is www.odiehawkins.com. You're also on the Amazon authors page. Google Odie Hawkins to see the many adventures. And if you like this video, please hit the button.
Let me say this before we come to an end. Zola Salena-Hawkins, my wife, the video technician, photographer, all-around director, shared a visit with me, or I shared a visit with her to Ghana in 2013 and in 2015. And some of the events that I'm detailing in the book are familiar to her, which is why we sort of intersperse these little tidbits with each other. So I don't want anyone to be misled into thinking that we rehearsed this.
No. Yes. All right.
This is not
Rehearsed.
taken off
No.
the script, out of the script.
This is just the enthusiasm for precious memories.
Yeah. You know, we were talking about this afternoon, and I'm not going to belabor the case, but it would be impossible to think about going back to Ghana.
In
We
these
really
times, yeah.
You know what? I was unabashedly a nationalist in the sense of saying to African Americans who had never been to Africa, go.
Right.
You know, don't listen to people talk about I went back to my grandfather's village in Italy and Slovenia. Slovenia, that sounds familiar.
Right.
We know anybody from Slovenia? Oh, the president's wife.
Moving right along.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, right, going right along.
Yeah.
Anyway, I kept hearing that. I thought, you know what? I don't care if I go back to an ancestral village in Africa. I would like to go back to the continent of my being, of my birth. And it was life-saving.
Right.
Because when I went in 1992, just as the smoke from they try to
Rodney King.
that poor man. You know, sometimes I think about it. I see them beating him.
Yeah. It's collective memory.
Oh man. Anyway,
So it's 2014 and 2015.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it shored us up. It boosted us up for right now.
Yes.
I think really because it's stored up some things, and you think about African resilience to slavery and what we've come out of to be where we are right now.
Most definitely.
You know, it ain't where we should be, but hell, we are not enslaved.
Come a long way.
Not all of us. Some of the brothers and sisters who are at the Trump rallies have been re-enslaved, but that always happens. It's called the Stockholm Syndrome or something.
Yes.
Once you're surrounded by people who've captured you and done all the stuff they need to do to your head, you become their fans. You become their minions, their captives. So the brother who's standing up there saying blacks for Trump, I think to myself, yeah, I understand. I don't want to call him a field nigga or nothing like that. He's just mentally disabled. He drank the Kool-Aid and the Pop-Aid, and you know, I'm coming to an end. I know you have to go and do this other thing.
Yeah.
But I had to say this because I think going to Africa meant that we could never ever become enslaved again, either mentally, certainly not physically.
True.
You know, they could do voter suppression. They could do things like try to discriminate. They could even lynch you, or they could do the customary back body shootings. I noticed the police have taken to shooting blacks in the back. They used to hang us from the front. Now it's blacks from the back. Okay, having said all that, we'll go on to chapter 15.
Thank you very much. All right, if you like this video, this YouTube video, please subscribe to our channel. All right, until more moments in time, thank you, Odie Hawkins.
Hey, creek don't rise.
Ciao.
Creek don't rise.
All right.
It ain't gonna rise.
Ciao.